What's good, y'all? It is your boys, Crampy, Daddy, and New Job. Coming to you live
Yikes.
for
I
episode
don't want to
180.
be daddy. Ew.
You're
No.
daddy now. You're daddy now.
Literally
Daddy
never.
KJ.
Yikes.
What's good, y'all? It's your boys, KJ, Nathan, and Patrick, here with a regular intro, with regular names, having a regular old great time, just like we do with each other, because this is a Janchi show, and that's what it is. How you guys doing?
But we're good. We're good. I'm good. I don't know why you decided to say Janchi like you were trying to summon a ghost.
No, that was I was yelling, but I didn't want to yell too loudly into the mics to save your ears.
You're ridiculous.
Your audio sounds great today, so I feel like that has not been an issue.
Oh, great.
That's
You
true.
can speak
Thank
more
you.
loudly.
Don't tell him that.
You're listening to The Janchi Show, hosted by three Korean American adoptees diving headfirst into what it means to be adopted, Korean, American, and more. And now, here's your hosts, Nathan, Patrick, and KJ.
What's up, guys? Another show, another week, another night.
How many episodes is this?
This might be 180.
Officially 180.
This is 180.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
180 episodes.
Wow.
20 away from 200. That's a lot.
Really,
And,
I can tell you have a toddler because you're really into counting lately. You're
Counting
like,
down the
what
days
episode are we on?
till he's no longer a
178? We're
toddler.
almost to 180. And then we hit 180, you're like, we're almost to 200.
Gotta keep
Just keep counting.
hoping forward. Just keep counting.
Amazing. Yeah. What, Nathan, what do we do on the show? Why do we call ourselves the Janchi Show?
We, Janchi, we celebrate, we feast, we do a little bit of both of those things, I guess. We are here because we are talking about our Korean adoption stories and our heritage, or what we've learned about our heritage. We've talked about with guests about lived experiences, with their lived experiences, how similar or different they are from ours, and we have a snack or food item at the end of the show, and that is part of I think for us, the exploration of our culture that is kind of fun, because it's stuff that typically we haven't had before. Or had access to, which has definitely increased. I want to say the access to Korean snacks. I love that it's. I mean, I'm finding it in my regular grocery store now, so I think that's really cool. Thank
Yeah, it's
you,
probably-
K-pop.
I was going to say, it's probably only going to increase because K-pop Demon Hunters just won an Oscar. So,
Yeah,
at time of
they were
recording,
Sequel
they were on my
officially
noodles last time I bought them. So
that's what I'm saying. Yeah. It's a big deal for us.
announced. Just like our episode count, we're going up, up, up.
Whoa, it's our moment. Wow. Something in Korean gonna be golden. Okay.
Literally, just don't repeat the whatever the Korean is when I'm singing
It's
the
a-
song.
yeah,
It's
I don't want to be
yeah.
disrespectful.
Yeah, golden. It's
Golden.
soda pop.
Yep. Well, speaking of Korean and adoptee and things you never tried and whatever, this is actually a bonus episode because today our guest is not Korean and also not an adoptee, which I think is the first time that this has ever happened. And it's not like it's out of the realm. It'll hit you like a normal Janchi episode, but it's out of the realm of normal, quote unquote, for us. But I'm really, really so excited to have my friend Saki on the show, who is calling in from Springfield, Missouri, which is where we both met. And we talk about what it was like to grow up in Missouri as Japanese American. Her family is from Japan, and she was born here, but the rest of her family was born in Japan. And so, yeah, we just kind of dig into like her childhood, her college, like, and then now how she considers Asian Americanness, like where she learned about Japanese history, Japanese American history, and where she fits into all of that kind of stuff. And yeah, I mean, just personally, I had a really good time seeing my friend again, but I think it was a really good conversation. really interesting. And surprisingly, at the end, really healing for my inner child. So there you go. Really excited to share that with you. And we're going to roll the tape right now. Welcome back to the interview portion of our show. We are so excited. Well, I'm so excited because I have my very good friend Saki on, who we met in Springfield back when I was living there. And I'm excited to have her on and to share this conversation with you, dear listener. So, Saki, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah. So before we get into our kind of question that kicks everything off, I just want to explain that Saki and I met in Springfield, Missouri, at a meetup of non-white young professionals as like a support group, I guess, that was organized by our mutual friend. It was just like, yo, this is wild, right? And then we've stayed in touch since I moved back. And I think I said this to you, but the first time we were in a room together, I was like, oh, dip, there's another Asian. And I felt very intimidated because being adopted, I was like, oh man, now I gotta like deal with this other, like I felt like I could potentially fly under the radar as like it's fine. But then you turned out to be really great. So there's no reason for me to be nervous. But I'm excited to have you on the show because you're not an adoptee, and this is the first time that we've done something like this. But I think it's worth looking into and kind of exploring what it looks like to be Asian American from someone who was raised in an Asian American home. And yeah, I think that you have a lot to say, and you think really intelligently, really like well about kind of yourself and who you want to be in the world. So yeah. So without further ado, we would love for you to kick off our show, this portion, by telling us your story, as much as little detail as you'd like.
Yeah. So, yeah, when you asked me to be on your show, like I couldn't remember if you all had any non-adoptee people. And so I feel very honored to be here as your first non-adoptee guest because I've been listening to your show for, I don't know, forever. So, yeah, really cool to be here. But my story. My parents are both from Japan. They grew up in Japan, and they moved to the United States when they were in their early 30s for my dad's job. And I have an older brother who's 5 years older than me. So he was born in Japan, and I was born in the U.S. They moved over when he was like 3 or 2. And so I grew up in St. Louis and went to school in public schools. And my community was mostly white and black students. And there were very few other Asian kids at school. But my parents, they raised me and my brother in a like culturally Japanese household. And also, like, they wanted me to be in touch with Japanese culture and the language. And so I went to a Japanese language school on Saturdays. And so I would go to class on Saturday mornings and learn the language and like other stuff too, like math and social studies and stuff. But yeah, so I grew up feeling very othered in St. Louis. Like, you think it's a more diverse place, I mean, relative to Springfield, Missouri, where I live right now. But yeah, that was just like a difficult thing growing up, just being Japanese American in a school that was pretty much just black and white students. And then the college that I went to was majority white. And then living in Springfield, Missouri is majority white right now. So I feel like I basically was just like embarrassed to be Asian when I was little. like I got bullied a lot in school, in elementary school and even in high school too, just for being different. And yeah, I mean, I kind of took that to college with me, and I didn't really have many other Asian students at school there. And then it wasn't really until I moved to Springfield and I became friends with someone who's Vietnamese American, and she went to a school that uh, she had a Asian sorority that she was a part of, and that really like helped her be proud of her Asian heritage, and that kind of like I guess inspired me to be proud of my heritage. And then yeah, through the group that KJ and I met, um, I think that also helped me of like embracing the fact that I'm a person of color and I don't need to be like I guess sad or like ashamed that I'm basically not white. Um, so yeah, it took me quite a while to really like embrace my cultural background. Um, yeah, I think that's my story.
Thanks for sharing. Who else? You said that mainly was white and black students in the Japanese school. It was a language school, you said?
So the Japanese language school was just for Japanese kids throughout St. Louis. And so it was only on Saturdays, and we would go to learn. It was like 3 hours or something every Saturday morning. And we would go and learn Japanese language and other subjects too. But it was mostly Japanese students. There was like a separate class for students who were any other race, mostly white students, I think. And those were people that were just wanting to learn the language more. But typically, the students at the Japanese language school were kids that their parents were living in the U.S. for like just a few years for their job, and so they would like already have grown up in the Japanese culture, and they came to the US for just a little bit and then they would move back. And so like culturally they were Japanese. And so like even at Japanese language school, I was like too American for the Japanese kids because they grew up in Japan and they like knew all about the Japanese culture that was whatever was cool at the time, or like the way that they dressed was different. And like because I was so like ashamed, I guess, of being Japanese because I got bullied so much in school. Like I basically like didn't want to learn Japanese because I was like I didn't really want that part of my identity for myself, and so I basically just like didn't really try to learn the language. So yeah, it was just hard because I mean now like I wish I would have kept up with it because I want to be connected to that part of myself, but because I like went through so much like difficulties in grade school of being bullied for being Japanese, like I didn't want to be part of that world. So yeah, I was too, I guess, Japanese or Asian to be part of my school that I went to on the weekdays, and then I was too American to fit in with the Japanese students at the Japanese language school. So it was just like I never felt like I belonged anywhere.
Thank you. Yeah.
It is so interesting to hear your story start with your parents. Just because I feel like for adoptees, so many times it's like, oh, I came over at blah, 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 or I was adopted at blah, blah, blah. So yeah, so that was just like, like the very first thing is like, oh, we're not in Kansas anymore. So yeah, so I really appreciate you coming on and sharing that. And I'm so fascinated to learn and I mean heartbroken, but also fascinated to learn that you rejected Japanese culture as much as you did, and I definitely understand the reasons. But you, like, when I met you, because of like the point in your life that I met you, like hearing that history is so interesting. Um, so you mentioned like the Japanese language school is where you learn a language, but you had a bunch of Japanese people who were coming over and, you know, just like flying in, flying out, whatever. This is a weird kind of like like niche question, but like, did you learn how to bow in school, or is that something that like your parents taught you? So I've also heard that like the way Asians bow is different. Like Japanese people bow differently than Korean people, than Chinese people, whatever. So like, is that? And then like, I know that like you said, that your parents raised you as like culturally Japanese, but like, what does that mean? As somebody who has very little understanding of Japanese culture, what does it mean to be raised like culturally Japanese, and like the big bullet points?
Yeah. So like bowing, probably from from my parents. So my my whole family still lives in Japan. So growing up, I was lucky and I was able to go visit my family in Japan like every other summer or every summer, because my
Mm.
grandparents, uncles, aunts, cousins were all over there. And so just like going over there, my parents would like, I guess, teach me about the culture, of like bowing and how long to bow and in what situations you should bow, that sort of thing. Um, so I learned a lot of that through like going to Japan so often. And then I guess like in terms of like culturally Japanese in the household, like saying no is like a pretty, uh, I guess, taboo thing in Japanese culture. Like it's kind of rude to say no to like anything. And so, like, even if it's like someone's offering, like, even if my mom is like offering me um, a dessert or something after dinner, and if I'm full, like, the polite thing for me to say is like yes, like I shouldn't say like no, I don't want that right now. Or like even if I was like visiting my family in Japan and they were offering me something that maybe I don't like. One of the few things I don't like that's Japanese is red bean paste. And so like even if I mean I think they knew that like I
Amen.
don't like that, and so they wouldn't offer it to me, but like typically like you're not supposed to say no to things, like especially if it's like your elder is asking you something. And like even just like if you're answering something that's kind of like factual, like you shouldn't directly say no. Like there should be like a more polite way that you should say it. So like even for me now, like it's hard to say no to just like anything, even if I'm talking to someone who's American. And yeah, so that's a big thing. I'm trying to, I don't know, like not wearing shoes in the house. That's a thing that we didn't do. Trying to think of what else.
What about like
Oh,
holidays?
yeah. So we would celebrate Japanese holidays. So New Year's is like the biggest holiday in Japan, the calendar New Year. And so there's like a special meal that you make. So my mom would always make that meal for New Year's, and then there's like tradition of eating soba noodles as like your last thing that you eat in the year. So we would do that. There was like we had access to like the public Japanese television network, and on that channel we would there's a show, or I guess like a music. Uh, it's not a festival, maybe like a long concert that they have every New Year's, and we would always watch that. But like, yeah, so we would have Japanese TV, so we could watch Japanese TV at home, and so I could watch cartoons sometimes, or like we would watch the news. Um, Oh, and then there's
Do you like Children's Day?
Yeah. I was going to say Children's Day. We celebrated that. I had my own set of like dolls that I think my parents brought from Japan. I'm assuming they would have had to do that. Um, and then, I mean, my mom would mostly make Japanese food at home. We would sometimes eat like American food. Trying to think what else. Oh, I guess our laundry. I guess most American families don't like dry their lawn like air dry their laundry. Typically, it's like you put it in the dryer, right? And so like I mean, we had a dryer.
This is a question for you.
we we had a
No,
dryer.
it just like really is funny to me.
So in Japan, they don't have dryers in the homes typically because dryers take up a lot of space. And like most Japanese homes, you don't have that luxury of like having so much space. So you typically just have a washing machine. And then most people just air dry and hang their clothes to dry it. And so like we would like air dry like some of our stuff, but then some of it we would dry like in a dryer. So like that's one thing. Trying to think of other things.
Were your parents religious? Were you like Christian or Buddhist or?
No, we were. Well, I guess you could say Shinto and Buddhist, but it would mostly. It's I guess it's more just like cultural observances. Like if we were going to a Shinto or Buddhist temple in Japan, we would like pray when we were there. But otherwise, like we didn't do anything like at home really to celebrate or like observe either of those religions. Um, but I guess like being mindful of waste, I think that's another like Japanese mindset of like not being wasteful of anything. And so like basically I like if we're eating a meal, like I need to eat every single piece of whatever is on the plate. Otherwise, like
Yeah.
I can't leave the table. Or if I would like oftentimes like say that I was too full and then I would say I'd eat it later. And then like my parents would definitely like tell me or like remind me that like I needed to eat my leftovers. So like throwing away food is like not really a thing. So just being mindful of waste is a pretty big thing too.
Yeah, my wife's grandmother was like that. Very lots of leftovers in her fridge all the time.
My family was definitely a clean your plate family, and don't order that much if you're not going to eat it all. You shared a little bit about like the bullying that you experienced, and I appreciate you sharing that. I had a similar experience in school all throughout my schooling age, and I felt like the response that I got from my parents was always, you need to develop a thicker skin, or you need to get over it, or they were just joking, like kind of really invalidating the stuff I was experiencing. I was wondering if you were able to have those conversations with your parents at all, like when that was happening, or if that was kind of a hindsight situation.
Yeah, I don't remember really like ever talking about it with my parents. Or even my brother. So my brother was 5 years older than me, and so he like felt like much older. And also like I guess another part of Japanese culture is just like not really talking about your feelings. So that yeah, the not bringing up my stuff that I was going on in school like was part of that. I don't really yeah. I think maybe it was part of that of like you don't talk about your feelings, but maybe I just didn't want them to like worry about it, or maybe I thought they didn't really care. I guess another part of Japanese culture is like not like verbally saying that you love each other, or like the way that affection is shown is like very different. And like hugging is not a thing, not even like with your immediate family. And so that was another thing that, like, I don't know that I hugged my dad until I like maybe maybe it was like when I left for college was the first time I remember hugging my dad. Um,
Dang.
but like that was just like normal for me. And then like them saying they love me, like I don't know that that was really a thing until college. I don't know if my dad's even said it to me now, but it's not that he doesn't love me. It's just like that's not how he knows to show love. Like he loves me in different ways, and does different things for me or whatever. So like that was another thing that like maybe I was like confused about it, because it was like I would go hang out at my friends' houses who were white American girls, and like their families would like say they loved each other and say that to their siblings, and like they would hug their siblings, parents, whatever. But yeah, I didn't like have hugs or like the verbal "I love you" from my parents until I was like probably 18 and older. So yeah.
Did you get hugs when you went to your friend's house?
Oh, like from their parents?
Yeah,
Like,
from,
oh, Saki,
your-
hi,
yeah,
welcome,
yeah.
come in. Yeah.
Probably, yeah.
And
then,
just
like-
these white people
Yeah.
always touching me. Gross.
So like my one of my aunts, she has only lived in Japan, has never been to the United States. She likes hugs, and like she'll like ask me for a hug. Like whenever I usually it's like only like when we're saying goodbye to each other, like at the end of my trip, she'll be like, "Can I have a hug?" And it's like this like big thing. Like usually it's like you would just like say bye and bow, and that's how you say goodbye. And like I don't know that I can't remember ever like hugging my grandparents. Like I don't think that was maybe I hugged my grandma like once, but it just like wasn't a thing. So
Yeah.
Interesting.
I always hugged my mother-in-law when I would visit, when I'd see her or when I'd leave, but she would never hug my wife. She just knew that I was raised with it, being raised by white folks, and so it was kind
so
of
she
an
was just like,
expected
kind
of a thing.
weird.
And so, but she would never hug my wife goodbye or things like that. So it was very interesting. And it's in a way that my wife didn't expect it even. So, yeah, it was definitely showed a little bit of culture there.
yeah, and my mom is like more Americanized now, because she and my dad are at the point in their lives where they've lived half their life in Japan and half their life in the United States. And so my mom, my parents are still, I would say, like culturally more Japanese, but my mom like definitely is a hugger now, and she hugs me whenever like I get home or whenever I leave and stuff. And I'll hug my dad like when I leave to go back to Springfield. But yeah, it was very different growing up.
See, it's just these older Asian parents just need to break the seal, and everyone just needs to start hugging them all the time, and they'll get used to it. So I'm just gonna go hug a bunch of old Asian parents just everywhere. Here, it looks like you need a hug. Come here.
Oh my God.
And so like the no hugging thing has like, I guess like influenced me of like my default when I like greet anyone is not to hug them. And like sometimes like in the work setting, like people will like hug me, and it's like I still kind of am like
The
Like,
work setting is weird though. That was
but
a weird.
at like conferences and stuff, like if it's like a friend or something, like I think people hug each other, like especially if it's two women that are like friends in like the professionals. I don't know. But like yeah, I mean even my friends, like I know one of my friends like gives me a hard time because she knows that like hugging is like still kind of like I don't know what the right word is, jarring for me as like a greeting, because it's just like not my default to like hug someone. Like I don't mind it, like especially if it's someone that I know and love, but I still am like that's not like my default of like how I greet someone, I guess.
It might be because we just read this book tonight, but my kid has a book about consent, yes or no. And like one of the lines is, some people like hugs, some people like high fives. And it makes me think like when you were talking about it, I'm like, you know what? Maybe Asian culture is very forward thinking from a consent perspective because they're not even broaching it. It's just like, we don't have
Yeah.
to ask. But now that's like what your default is like to ask. Or no, when you said your aunt or your aunt in Japan, like she asks, I'm like, that's a good modeling of consent.
Yeah.
I like it.
Man, that's so interesting. Yeah. So, okay. So one of the things, kind of shifting gears a little bit, and at first I want to say your story is not dissimilar from a lot of anecdotes I've read online, but it's really interesting. Because I know you and I care about you, but it's like I think like it's one thing to just like kind of read the story, and another thing to be like, no, this is legit, like how my family was. So thanks again. Really appreciate you being on here. I want to shift gears and talk about kind of the thing that started off like why I wanted to have you on the show, and it was because we got to talking about I think it was during the Olympics or something. I don't know, whatever. And
Yeah.
the national anthem played, and I was like, man, I'm feeling a weird type of way about the national anthem. And you were like, yeah, I've been feeling that way since like third grade, and that was weird to me. And then I think we got to talking about just like broadly like Japanese American history. So I guess take me to like what made you feel weird about the national anthem in third grade, and then also where did you learn Japanese American history? If like I assume it, like your parents didn't teach you that. Did that come up like in language school? Did you do your own research later in life? Like, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so I've always felt weird about the Pledge of Allegiance of like being forced to stand up to pledge allegiance to a flag, and then like also I guess like my parents would talk about American people like it was not their people, and that Americans are I guess other, and that we're not Americans. And so like that was confusing for me because I mean I that America is all I know of like where I've lived, and if like I had visited Japan, but when your parents are saying, "Oh, we're not Americans," it's like, "Okay, I'm not American, but I am." But I think I don't know that they realized like what that meant for me, and what growing up in America meant for me.
Yeah.
And so then like I didn't fully like understand what it meant to be American. Like I always had the question of like, what does it even mean to be American? Because I mean, you've got Native Americans who lived here before people colonized the United States. But then you have the settlers, and so they're American too. But then why am I not American if I was born here and I have an American passport, but my parents are saying we're not American? And so like from a young age, like I didn't know what it meant to be an American. And I think I kind of have a grasp now, but it's still like, like I felt like I wasn't American because my parents were saying that we as a family weren't. And so I think that's where that came from. But then also, like, part of, I guess, visiting Japan and like my experience with Japanese language school of like me not feeling like I belong in any space. Like I just had like this sense of confusion of like, what does it even mean to be a certain nationality or a certain culture? And so like being forced to pledge my allegiance to a flag that I like, to a country that I don't understand like what the boundaries are and what the definitions are, like just felt weird. And then also, I mean, kind of related, but like the part where it says like one nation under God, because I didn't grow up religious and believing God. Like I also didn't like that I had to say under God when I thought that religion and um, government was supposed to be separate. Um, and so, yeah, I don't know. I guess I just had a lot of like uh, rebellious or like confusing thoughts growing up. So I didn't fully understand like why I was having to say these things and being forced to stand up during class with everyone and say it. Um, so yeah, that's that. What was the other? The Olympics. One thing that I just thought of is whenever we would watch the Olympics growing up, I never knew which team to root for, of if I should be rooting for Japan or America, because, you know, my parents grew up in Japan and they're rooting for Japan, but then we live in America, but I'm also being told I'm not American, but that's who all my friends are rooting for because they're American, you know? Um, so that was also confusing. Um, but then I guess your question about Japanese American history, that so we learned about it some in Japanese language school. Like I remember there was one day that we spent, and there was like a guest speaker who came and talked about the internment camps, and but I remember thinking like, that's not me though. Like that's not related to me because my parents just came over here. That wasn't my ancestors.
Yeah.
Those are different people, and I'm not related to Japanese American history because my family is brand new to this country. So that's not something that I am familiar with. And like, but I also remember like um, in elementary school, like at my public school on the weekdays, I remember learning about Japanese American history and like learning about internment camps, and also like during like learning when we were learning about World War II, of just like Japan versus America in general. Like I remember some students like making comments of like, oh, Saki is the bad guy or the victim or whatever, and like making that connection. And I remember that hurting a lot. But also still feeling like it was very removed at the same time, because I've never lived there. Um, and then, yeah, it was just very confusing. And I feel like only within the last like 5 years have I really like thought that Japanese American history is like that I'm connected to it, even though my family was not impacted by that history at all because they just moved here, relatively speaking.
Yeah, yeah, I think that that's so interesting, and one of the reasons I'm really grateful to have you on, beyond the ones previously spoken, is that you are Japanese and you have thought critically about what it means to be Japanese American, and like, yeah, that same sense of like, I think we, Patrick, Nathan, and I have it easy because like in the white version of American history, like America went over and saved South Korea, and we don't really think about like the splitting of a peninsula and like the like breaking in half of a country and all those kinds of things, and like we're not taught about any of those other things. And then there's not been like any, as far as I know, there's not been any like legal ramifications to being Korean American. There's been like Japanese internment camps, there's been the Chinese Exclusion Act, but there's not been like a call out to Koreans in the same kind of way. So like as Korean Americans, our history with America is maybe checkered. It's checkered differently, but I think yours, it is really specific, and especially I think the call out between Japan, the country, being our enemy in World War II, and then Japanese Americans being here for so long, and like the ability to have, you know, like 7th generation, 10th generation Japanese Americans. But then, yeah, also the cognitive dissonance that you're talking about of like, my family just got here. Like, what do I do with that? So here's, I guess my question is, you know, you said that you've kind of reconciled these things in the last 5 years. Do you consider Japanese Americans of the past your ancestors, if you will?
That's a good question. Yes and no. I mean, I guess like their experiences are like important and I guess like have an impact on myself as a Japanese American today, even though I'm not related to them. So maybe yes.
Yeah. And I ask that as somebody who has zero experience with ancestry. And so like, you know, I like to make the joke like, oh yeah, you know, whatever Korean Thanksgiving, whatever holiday, this is the time when you honor your ancestors. I'm like, I don't have any ancestors. But then like, you know, I do, like I came from a country that has the mainland, right? But I think again, kind of speaking to the diaspora of Japanese people, like they are in some sense your, I guess, cousins, if nothing else, you know, but then like
Yeah.
you originated from Japan, but then like there also is kind of that shared diasporic history of being Japanese American. And I don't really know if ancestry, as you might think of it, is kind of directly in like the bloodline versus a more kind of philosophical cultural thing like we might think of it here on the show.
Have you ever been interested in like creating a family tree? Have you tried to create one, or is there one
Oh.
that's run?
Yeah, so in grade school, they would have everyone make a family tree as a class project. And I remember making one, and my parents definitely helped me out with that. But yeah, it was, I guess, I mean, I think the majority of my classmates were like so familiar with their family tree, but it was like, I mean, I had met my cousins and aunts and uncles and grandparents, but outside of that, I hadn't really met too much of my family. And so that was also just like a hard experience of like, I guess, a reminder of the fact that my family is just so different that I can't easily go and meet them. And some people I may never meet in my life. So that was, yeah, just another othering experience. And like, I feel like they made us like present the names. And then I remember feeling like embarrassed because the names were like so different, you know?
So Japanese.
Yeah.
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 Like it's so many syllables and you pronounce
And, like-
every vowel.
Even like pronouncing them, like, I mean, I still feel weird sometimes when I like say Japanese words in like an American accent. Like it's much more comfortable for me to like say it in a Japanese, I guess, accent, like sushi. I mean, that one is like more easy for me, but like if I'm ordering at a restaurant and it's like I'm ordering like in American English, it's pronounced like chicken katsu, but it's like katsu is how it's pronounced in Japanese, like stuff like that, that it's like, should I present this in the American accent, or should I pronounce it in the like how a Japanese
Especially
person would
like
pronounce
in
it?
Springfield, and you're like, you're not going to appreciate the proper pronunciation. Yeah.
My wife corrects me all the time, so I prefer in these days to do it correctly. So I've tried to do that. But that's interesting, though. The family tree is definitely one of those. I don't know. It's one of those. I think it's a common task for a lot of schools, a lot of kids, and I know a lot of Korean adoptees have had to do it and had very conflicting results and feelings and emotions. And I remember if I did it instantly, I would have done it for my adoptive family. I would have done it for the German, Scottish, Czech, background, and I do have one that's pretty extensive, and I've always been very interested in that family tree. I want to say way more than my like discovering anything about my Korean one, which it actually just now brings up a very random thought. I should actually ask my biological family if they have a family tree. I've never done that, so I might do that one of these days. But granted, I'm not going to recognize any names and stuff like that, but it would be interesting to see it. But yeah, no, I that family tree thing, it's a very interesting thing. I did want to randomly go back, actually, something to KJ's point. When you said something about us being, Korean and not having any like major, I guess, conflicts with American ties and versus, say, Japanese or Vietnamese or things like that. The one thing that I still always felt was, and maybe was similar in Missouri, which I can only assume with not many Asians there. I grew up in Oklahoma, so not many Asians. I just got lumped into one category as Asian. And so even if South Korea didn't have any major tensions or anything, I always feared that I was different because people wouldn't know I was Korean, and I just kind of lumped myself into this Asian category, especially when I was like, visiting things like Pearl Harbor or something that was very emotional. I just always kept like fearing that somebody would I don't know, have issues with me just because of what I looked like and not knowing what nationality I actually was. Did you ever get some of that in Missouri where people just, I know you knew you were Japanese and you had that upbringing. Did anyone mistake you for other, other Asian cultures?
I feel like I remember more in my like adult life of that happening, of just being lumped into Asian. I mean, I guess in elementary school too, but like I think maybe my classmates in elementary school were more like aware that I was Japanese, because I remember like specifically I was like chasing a boy on the playground, and it was like right around when we were learning about World War II, and I remember like stopping, and he was like, "What are you gonna?" Maybe it was like, "Are you? You better stop chasing me, or I'll like bomb you," or something like related to.
Damn.
Yeah, and like that really stuck with me, and so I don't know. I think in elementary school people were more aware that I was Japanese, but then like I remember in college just being lumped into being Asian, and I don't think that they would necessarily like categorize me into a different like ethnicity. It was just like I'm Asian, and so like I remember there was like one comment. I was like standing around with a group of people, and someone was talking about one of their professors, and he was like, "Oh yeah, one of my Asian professors or Chinese professors or something." And then he looks at me and goes, "No offense." And then he goes on to like tell his story about how this professor did something bad or something. And I remember just being like, why would you do like, I'm not even the same ethnicity, and also you're saying that it's bad to be Asian. Like that you just made it weird and offensive. And so like, yeah, there was just like a lack of awareness, I guess. And I just was, yeah, lumped into being Asian. And then like, I remember some of my friends like making comments of like, oh, that's so Asian of you. But it's like, I haven't talked with them about really anything about my Japanese culture. Like, I don't think I really talked about my Japanese culture with my college friends very much, but they would, yeah, make comments like that of like, oh, so Asian, Saki is just being Asian, you know. But it's like, what does that mean to you?
Yeah. Yeah. Wild. I mean, I imagine too, like it's probably, it helps to the like elementary, like grade school nature of it, that like you probably, a lot of your classmates were aware of your last name, and it's not like in Korean last name, like if you're like Ali and then a Chinese last name, if you're also Ali, then like, you're clearly all Chinese, you know, but like you're very clearly not, like that's not a Chinese last name, not a Korean last name, whatever. So yeah, it's like, yeah, but then like in college, you don't hear last names as much or whatever. So that makes sense. How do you think of being American these days, Asian American broadly? Having, like you said, you kind of been thinking about it, living into like a more coherent version of like what it means to be Asian American in the past 5 years. So yeah, what does that mean for you?
I think having Asian heritage and living in America broadly, but it's also like can depend on, I think, how long you've been here and that individual. Like, I think that individual is ultimately who decides if they're Japanese American or Japanese, because like someone who has lived here for 2 years, their identity is probably different from mine, that I was born here. But then I think part of it too is like if they are planning to be here temporarily or forever, and I guess how they want to identify. I don't know.
Patrick's got a cramp. He's not being rude.
I didn't know if this was normal or what.
I just suffered a serious cramp in my thigh, and I'm now down on the ground. I tried to adjust my legs, and did not work. Huge mistake.
Yikes.
I'm good.
Okay.
Well, one of the last times recorded, he had food poisoning, and so
Oh, no.
We didn't even record.
I know
so
we
then
had to
we-
like,
yeah.
whoa, let's postpone this.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Okay, so being Asian American sounds like it's an opt-in identity, right? Is what I'm hearing you say.
Yeah.
But like, what does it mean? I think for you, like, if you think about it being an opt-in identity, like, what is it? What are you opting into?
I don't know. Yeah, I really don't know. And it's hard because like even within the Asian American umbrella, like it can be so different to be Japanese American versus Korean American versus Vietnamese American. Like those cultures are so similar but so different. So it's hard to say because Asian American can mean so many different things.
On that note, you have listened to our episode before, and you said you've even sent in questions to KJ just on the side and stuff like that. What about our show being a non-adoptee interests you? What are the things that I'm just curious, coming from a perspective of some things that are probably similar, but other things may be inquisitive. What kinds of things have you asked him?
Well, the things I ask KJ are usually just like silly questions or like answers to things. I feel like one of them
Why
was
is Patrick
related to
laying on
like
the floor?
Oreos or something.
Why does Nathan like
Oh
snacks
yeah,
so
Oreos.
much?
Yeah, good call.
But the reason I listen to your podcast is just because I understand that like the Asian American identity is so complex and so different for so many different lived experiences that I always am just like wanting to learn more about what other people's experiences are like so that I can be more inclusive when I am talking about things or be more aware when I am doing whatever it is in life and just trying to be mindful of speaking in ways that are inclusive of everyone. Because I mean, just yeah, I just want to like be able to learn about how different people experience life, especially as it relates to racial and cultural identities. So, I mean, even for example, like my lived experience is different compared to. I just made friends with another Saki, and she moved to the United States when she was going to college. And so, like, her experience is like different than mine, even though, I mean, having the same name is like a pretty big deal, I think, in the US with the name Saki. But like she lived like up until her almost adult life in Japan and then moved to the US. But then like her experience still is different from my mom who lived in Japan till her early 30s and then moved to the US. And so like even just that nuance, like yeah, I think it's just interesting to like hear about all the different Asian American stories.
Well, I appreciate you sharing with us. And I think the thing that I've taken away from your story is something that I've come across in just conversations with other, especially like second, third, fourth generation Asian Americans, is just like there's a lot of similarity despite or in spite of maybe the differences and our nuances and the lived experiences that we have. And that um yeah, like just being Asian American in general is just for me it feels like something I, like KJ said, an opt-in identity, like something I can choose, and a life of not being able really to make a lot of my own choices or choices that were not influenced by the system and the situation that I found myself in. This feels like something that I can actually claim as my own when there's very little that I actually am able to do so. And I think just hearing you share, I'm like, oh yeah, I definitely remember like or resonate with like the bullying aspect or not being able to share with my family or like yeah, just a lot of it. And it just gives me, like you said, greater appreciation for everybody's lived experience, regardless of what it is. Because at the end of the day, because of those crossovers, like it makes me more attuned or tapped in or more curious about like those differences, because those differences are what make us each individual. So thank you.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I certainly agree with what Patrick and Nathan have said, and I think for my own part, like coming the opposite direction. So I used to edit for a podcast called Dear Asian Americans, so I got to hear certainly the raw stuff, but like just I just listened to every episode because I was the one doing the episodes, and the more I heard Asian American stories, the more I realized like how much we had in common, which is I think the opposite of how I went into every interaction with any Asian person. Was like, oh, we're so different. Our lived experiences are so different, and blah blah blah. And like, yes, they are different, but it wasn't like so different that I needed to be so intensely othering to myself. And yeah, and I think like just hearing your story and being having the privilege of being friends with you, and thinking about like the history of our show, and I think for so many adoptees is to reckon with what it means to be Asian, because we generally, like we would for the most part got hugs from our mothers and our fathers, and whatever, like we got the American part down maybe, but like yeah, just like understanding that like some things that you read aren't going to hit, but there's a lot that brings us together, and a lot that we can share. And I think like it heals the inner child in me to then consider like young KJ and young Saki would have had more in common than young KJ would have thought, and that like that young KJ is a lot more Asian than he realized or that he thought even could have thought possible, So yeah, so I think that's really why like I think at the end of the day why I wanted to have you on the show and to bring your story on is because there is so much to be gained, and I think that for other adoptees who don't have the privilege of like so many adoptees grow up in the Midwest, so if they don't have the privilege of knowing another Asian American in like a friendship kind of way, just I think like if they're looking to be like to reconcile that Asian, not Asian in their hearts or in their bodies, like that. Yeah, I think that there is a lot of room for that. So thank you for coming on the show and for hanging with us and having a good time. And we are going to jump to a food that you've already said you have opinions on, which I'm very excited to hear those. So we're going to do that right now.
Welcome back to the Janchi Show. We are here after our interview with Saki, and now we are going to have something that I'm surprised actually that you guys wanted to try this one. And I guess I should just explain. It's a gum. I think it's a gum. It actually could be. Actually, it could be a. No, it is gum. Sorry,
It's
I
a
gotta
gum.
read the back. I thought it was a candy for a second when I first bought it. But it's made by Lotte, and it had Pokemon on it. So each of you, I think, has different Pokemon on yours. I have Eevee on mine. But they were cute. Okay, you got a Pikachu.
Yeah, and I've got Jigglypuff.
A Jigglypuff.
Yeah.
Yes. I don't know. I bought it because I'm currently into Pokemon, and I know it's very Asian of me to jump on board in my 50s.
When you say
50.
you're into Pokemon, what are you into?
Yeah, define being into Pokemon for the listeners at home and also for your friends on the podcast.
Investing in the cards, I guess you could say.
Okay.
So
that makes sense.
I have bought the cards, invested in some good ones, and hung them on the walls for art, but then also have packs that I
Selling
like to
them
open
for
with
money.
the kids, and then I resell them for money. Correct. Yes.
Okay.
So,
I know what you're here for. I know what
Saki,
you're here for.
what is, before we get into the gum, what is your history with Pokemon?
Yeah.
/ do you have a favorite Pokemon?
My history with Pokemon was playing on the Game Boy, whatever Pokemon games growing up.
mhm.
And then I think I watched the show a little bit on TV,
Yeah.
but I think that's it. I wasn't like I had like stickers and stuff growing up.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. You're like, I was a bigger fan than maybe
Yeah.
I. Yeah, okay. But did you have a favorite Pokemon?
I don't think so. Not in particular. But
All right.
I mean, I think Jigglypuff's pretty cute.
Okay, there you go. Also, not to put you on the spot, but can you? I don't even know if this will show up, but can you read this? Like, do you know what this says?
I have the picture that you sent me.
Okay, great.
So I don't really know what the part of it says, but part of it says like bubblegum.
Okay.
Like more literal, like balloon gum, but that means bubblegum, like you can blow a bubble in it.
Sure.
And then the flavor. So I think this is because it's like Pokemon and the lightning bolts. So Bitty Bitty is like a onomatopoeia that's like for when you get like shocked. And the flavor, I don't know what the first part means, but it's soda flavored.
Is it Psycho Soda?
Yeah, it says psycho soda, but I don't know what psycho means
Okay.
in this
Yeah.
We're about to find out.
That's what the English says on the back of my thing.
Yeah.
So it says,
Okay, yeah.
BDB
So I'm wondering if
soda.
it's like, I'm wondering if it'll be like fizzy.
maybe like crazy soda. Yeah.
Psycho. So yeah, maybe
Okay.
it's
Is
like,
that what y'all's flavors are, or are they different flavors?
No, it should be the same
Psycho
flavor.
Soda 9p.
Yeah. I don't know what
Yeah.
9p would be.
Yeah, I don't either.
9
pounds
pieces?
of Psycho.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
that would make sense.
maybe.
Three,
that's true.
6, 9.
Okay.
Correct.
Okay.
Shocking.
I'm gonna open
It's
it,
gonna-
but
it's gonna electrocute.
it did have a smell. Oh, this is not what I thought.
Oh,
It's like
very fruity.
sticks of.
Oh, it sticks of gum. Oh yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was gonna be like
What did
the.
you think that?
Well, I thought it was gonna
I
be
thought
like a
it was gonna be like-
Starbursty
I
shape.
Yeah, I
million
was
percent
too.
thought it was
Like-
6.
Look, I'm
Oh, no,
not.
I was gonna go
Okay.
like little square cubes or something.
You guys don't
Yeah.
eat gum. And
I
neither
don't.
do
Not
I
this
anymore,
kind of
but
gum.
No.
I'm
But I
assuming
don't
it'll
like-
taste like ramune. That's the
Oh,
American.
like the soda. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
American
But it's got lightning bolts
pronunciation.
on it. Yeah, I'm not gonna get electrocuted when I like. This isn't like trick gum. It's like- very interesting. It actually has more Pokemon on the wrappers.
Oh yeah, I've got a
Oh,
Pikachu
yeah.
inside. Oh, okay. So Pikachu,
I got an
a
owlet.
lightning bolt. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
The flavor, I'm guessing, will last for like a minute and then be done.
I'm not gonna lie, didn't even taste any flavor.
Hey,
I'm now just chewing on gum.
it's a
Really?
very subtle flavor. It's fruity though. Whatever the flavor is, it's kind
it
of
smells
fruity.
fruity.
Yeah.
Tastes like gum.
Japanese
it's like
gum, I think, is like notorious for having a very short flavor time.
Well, that's good.
Flavor time.
I mean, I don't like chewing on gum for too long either. Anyway, so
Not good for blowing bubbles.
I think gum is like one of the worst foods that Japan makes. Everything else is very good, but gum, for some reason, it does, the flavor doesn't last long. You can't blow bubbles.
Okay.
Yeah.
What about Japanese sweets? You feel like those are good, normal to an
Mhm.
American palate? Like,
Maybe not sweet enough.
okay, because that's how I feel about Korean sweets. Is they're like not sweet enough.
Mhm.
So, but they look good usually. I don't know. I feel like Japan and Korea value the aesthetic, maybe even over the flavor.
isn't that funny? It's not sweet enough, and yet the other things are sweet where they shouldn't be, like the corn dogs.
Oh yeah.
Like, why is this
Corn
sweet?
cheese.
Yeah, corn cheese. Yeah, I agree. The gum lost its flavor already. I would say I'm at least 2 minutes in, and it tastes like I'm just chewing rubber. So
I already taken mine out.
yeah, but yeah, the flavor was very. I mean, it was pleasant. It was kind of a fruity flavor. I typically chew gum if I'm like scared I have bad breath or sometimes
Trying
just
to avoid brushing your teeth.
no. That's gross. But I don't think I would chew this because if it like doesn't have a very strong like minty or anything flavor, and in big letters, which is interesting, is xylitol right on the label
Mhm.
there. So
Oh, yeah,
you're
what
like,
is that?
okay, it's a
Japan's
sweetener.
really big on that. And
Yeah.
another example of like growing up in a Japanese home, I didn't know how that was pronounced in English because in Japanese it's pronounced kishiritoru, which is like completely different.
Oh, okay. I understand because there's no. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
No X sound, so you combine the X with a K, and
Yeah, kishiritoru.
Okay.
So like, yeah, I didn't know how that was pronounced for a long time.
I got very little bitty bitty out of this gum. Oh, I won't lie. I wanted it to be a little more something. So,
Okay.
yeah, I don't know.
This one
Well-
has a Pokeball on it. I decided to go for a second piece because I
That's
Don't-
not
I
gonna
feel
make
like
the
I'm getting-
flavor any better.
I feel like I'm getting a flavor, but I couldn't describe what that flavor is. So
yeah, it's-
definitely not Psycho Soda, whatever that means. But I
Yeah,
feel like
I don't know where they got the soda from. That's not.
I will say if I feel like it lasted for as long as like any other like what are those brands like Bazooka or like Double Bubble or I think there was like a Zebra. I seem to recall maybe that's Bazooka.
Oh,
but like
yeah.
Gum in
you know what I
general.
mean? So it's not like an Orbit or like a whatever, you know, like it's a proper like blow a bubble kind of gum.
Yeah, I don't know. I'll share it with my kids. I'm sure they'll like it. They are gum fans, but they're kind of spoiled with the cubes, the cube gums. Those things last for really long, and they're very sweet to start off with. But yeah, I don't know. Like I said, I bought it because it was cute, and we've never really had a gum on the show, so I thought that was it, or even a candy, because I thought it was candy actually when I first bought it. But
Didn't read the
I've had
label.
a ton of candy on the show.
we haven't had a ton of like little square candies like this or whatever. What
It's
I thought
not
it was.
well. Okay, yeah. Yeah, let's get into ratings. Patrick.
2, I guess. No, I'm gonna give it a 1. Not good.
Oh, 1?
Just-
I think it's the lowest thing we've ever rated anything on the
Wow.
show.
I'll
have to fact check
I
myself,
don't even
but
have
wow.
any like good. I don't have anything to say about it, good or bad. But it doesn't. It's not at the level of a 2.5. It's just it's
Wow.
low. It's low.
That
Low
is
I mean, I would-
amazing.
I would give it okay. So my rating would be at least a 2.5. Halfway through, I would give it that because it's not unpleasant. Yeah, granted, the flavor doesn't last that long. I am reading the ingredients, and I find this actually interesting. It has oolong tea extract. So that's interesting. It also has vegetable oil, which is confusing me. But yeah, 2.5. I mean, it's pleasant. It's not like my favorite gum, but there's nothing really bad about it. I would say it's just an average gum. So
I mean, I didn't say that there's anything bad about it.
Yeah.
I just
He just said
don't
it
think it's good.
sucked.
it was a 1. What do you mean? You said you moved it from a 2 to a 1, and you're like,
Yeah. I'm like, wait, actually,
It's just
you know,
one
I've
caliber
never-
gum.
I've never given anything a 0 star.
100% gave the roasted chestnuts that were wet and cold.
Oh yeah,
a
we
0.
should revisit
I'm almost
that.
positive I give it a 0.
yeah, those are pretty bad.
where-
Those live long in the memory as not
Yeah, they
good.
do.
Will never leave rent free in my head.
I'm gonna give it I think I'm gonna give it a 3. Which, for reference, all snacks for me start at 3. So I'm like Patrick, except I'm better than Patrick, where he was like, "This gives me nothing, so I'm gonna like." But then he decided to knock it down for apparently no reason. It just sucks. But no, I mean, I think it's a good chewing gum. I like the flavor. I have not had ramune in decades, probably, so I can tell you if it tastes like that. But I think it's good. The flavor lasts longer than I expected. There are definitely some American gums that have lasted shorter time than this. So, yeah, I think it's fine. And I like the Pokemon packaging. I think it's
Yeah, I
cute,
do.
even though I can't read
That's
any
cute.
of it.
That's the
so-
one. That's what's giving it a 1. Is the Pokemon?
That's what's giving it a 1 is the
Wow.
packaging.
Oh man,
Wow.
I would rather have Bazooka or
Savage.
Double Bubble
You
or
are,
any other sticked gum than this
Wait.
gum.
Oh, wait.
No
What?
offense, Lotte.
Oh, yeah.
Or to
Also, I
Pokemon
forgot
in
this is a
general.
Lotte product. So that's
Yeah.
a Korean brand making a Japanese gum. I don't know. Make that make sense. Well, that's it. Oh, wait. Before we move on, Saki, you said beady beady is the sound for like the onomatopoeia for getting zapped, like electric shock.
Mhm.
Well, in English it's zap, and in Korean it's jiri, jiri or jiji. So
Nice.
I love onomatopoeia, like in other languages. I think it's so interesting. So I know the answers to some of these, and I don't know the answers to all of them. So really quickly, can you tell me what a cat says in Japanese?
I think it's meow with an
Okay.
N.
Yeah. Can you tell
Or
me what a
nya.
dog says in Japanese?
Wang wang.
Wang wang. Okay.
W
Can you tell
A
me-
N W A N.
Yeah. I think in Korean they say like moof or something like that, or like oof. I don't know. It's a little more oofy than not wang wang. Can you tell me what a rooster says in Japanese?
I can't remember. I don't know that
Okay. And then do you know the onomatopoeia for like knocking on a door?
one. I think it's tontong.
ton ton. Okay. In Korean, it's tuk tuk.
Nice.
And then I know rooster in Spanish is kiki kikikiri. Yeah. So like, I just love the
Nice.
idea that like in different languages, animals speak different languages. You know, like it's just is interesting to me. So, anyways, Saki,
love,
thank you for coming on the show.
Moshi Moshi. I love
Oh
that one.
yeah. Yep.
Isn't
Every
it just
time
hello?
phone.
you
Oh.
answer the phone or Mushy
Yeah.
mushy. Yeah.
I love
That's the
that.
first thing you say.
That's one of my favorite.
I haven't said
Do you
that
just
in a long
like
time.
the way that it sounds or the way that it feels in your mouth?
Yeah, I don't know. It's just it's a funny thing. It's one
Yeah,
of the
it's
first things
fun.
I learned. Yeah.
Oh, gotcha.
Mush.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. And also, I think I learned it, and you're going to laugh, but I learned it from The Simpsons. So, it was in the Simpsons episode. Yeah.
I think I learned it from Heroes.
Oh, nice.
I think I just learned it right now.
Whoa. From a niche podcast called The Janchi Show.
What?
Amazing. On that note, Saki, thank you so much for coming on, for being a friend and a fan and now a guest. Like the whole trifecta, like Nathan's family. If you want to be a guest like Saki, you can go over to janchishow.com/guest. If you want to reach out to the show, you can hit us up at Janchi Show on all social platforms, or send us an email to janchishow@gmail.com, or go to our website, janchishow.com. There's a form that you can fill out that is easy enough and hits our inboxes. Yeah, I, again, did not set up the voicemail. Thought about it this time, but we're getting there one step at a time. So yeah, you can reach out to me anywhere I want to be found on the internet at KJ Roelke.
You can follow me at Patrick in the World.
You can find me on Instagram at nnowalk.
All right. So you
What-
ended.
Was there?
You ended on like an up, so I thought
Up?
you were going to say more, but then it's fine.
It was like Ron Burgundy.
Yeah, exactly. Somebody put a question mark at the end of the teleprompter.
I'll do Nathan's job for him and tell him to register for con because it's about
well,
registered out.
Sure.
Oh yeah,
I-
if you're gonna
you
go
know.
to con. Yeah, go sign up.
Yep. Registration is open. It's in Denver. Come say hi.
Unless it's closed by the time this episode comes out.
That's
Anyways,
true, too. Could be.
until next time, Janchi, hey.
Heyo!